Climate hazards are natural events and weather cycles. We've always had hurricanes, droughts and wildfires, flooding and high winds. However, we are currently witnessing a scale of destruction and devastation that is new and terrifying. Changes in the global climate exacerbate climate hazards and amplify the risk of extreme weather disasters. Increases of air and water temperatures lead to rising sea levels, supercharged storms and higher wind speeds, more intense and prolonged droughts and wildfire seasons, heavier precipitation and flooding. The evidence is overwhelming and the results devastating. Cyclone Idai and Kenneth. In March 2019, Cyclone Idai took the lives of more than 1,000 people across Zimbabwe, Malawi, and Mozambique in southern Africa, and it devastated millions more who were left destitute without food or basic services. Lethal landslides took homes and destroyed land, crops, and infrastructure. Cyclone Kenneth arrived just 6 weeks later, sweeping through northern Mozambique, hitting areas where no tropical cyclone has been observed since the satellite era. Australian wildfires. The start of 2020 found Australia in the midst of its worst-ever bushfire season, following on from its hottest year on record, which had left soil and fuels exceptionally dry.
Coming at you in a wall of flame.
The fires have burned through more than 10 million hectares, killed at least 28 people, razed entire communities to the ground, taken the homes of thousands of families, and left millions of people affected by a hazardous smoke haze. More than 1 billion native animals have been killed, and some species and ecosystems may never recover. East Africa drought. Higher sea temperatures linked to climate change have doubled the likelihood of drought in the Horn of Africa region. Severe droughts of 2011, 2017, and 2019 have repeatedly wiped out crops and livestock. Droughts have left 15 million people in Ethiopia, Kenya, and Somalia in need of aid, yet the aid effort is only 35% funded. People have been left without the means to put food on their table and have been forced from their homes. Millions of people are facing acute food and water shortages. South Asia floods. Over the last year, deadly floods and landslides have forced 12 million people from their homes in India, Nepal, and Bangladesh. Just 2 years ago, exceptionally heavy monsoon rains and intense flooding destroyed, killed, and devastated lives in the same countries. In some places, the flooding was the worst for nearly 30 years. A third of Bangladesh was underwater. While some flooding is expected during monsoon season, scientists say the region's monsoon rains are being intensified by rising sea surface temperatures in South Asia. Dry corridor in Central America. An El Niño period, supercharged by the climate crisis, has taken Central America's dry corridor into its 6th year of drought. Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, and Nicaragua are seeing their typical 3-month dry seasons extended to 6 months or more. Most crops have failed, leaving 3.5 million people, many of whom rely on farming for both food and livelihood, in need of humanitarian assistance, and 2.5 million people food insecure.